Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Crossing the Finish Line. I am your host, as always, Cody Keeler. We have a great episode lined up today. We are joined by the founder and CEO of TextLocate, Mr. Ryan Rogers. If you guys are not familiar with TextLocate, they're kind of a newer player in the game. I'll let Ryan really go over all of that to the track and trace driver communication game. So super excited to dive into what those guys have been doing over there. I've heard a lot of great stuff. I know quite a few people that work over there. They seem to really be on their game. So I'm really excited to dive into what they're doing over there. Before we jump into the show, though, I have to mention this episode is brought to you by ANZ Trucking. ANZ Trucking is one of America's top food and beverage transportation companies. Go check us out at anztrucking.com or find us on LinkedIn and reach out to us with any of your transportation needs. Now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and bring Ryan on. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Cody.
How's it going, buddy?
Doing great. How about you?
I'm loving the nice sunny weather here in Phoenix. We finally got a little bit of warmth. Yeah, finally got a little bit of warmth. So I'm enjoying it.
We're in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's warming up a little here too.
I love Tennessee. I'm a huge Titans fan, so I love that state.
Awesome.
Yeah, you guys got a lot of good stuff over there. So Ryan, you and I actually have not chatted a ton. You know, like I said, I know a couple people that work for you over there. So why don't you just give the listeners a little bit of a background on yourself, and then we can kind of dive into TextLocate and what you guys are doing over there.
Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. So give you a little background about Ryan. Here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, started my career in freight fresh out of school with U.S. Express. Spent 16 years there, then spent time at Amazon and 3 at Covenant. And the background was I started out on the financial side in finance, and then did that for quite a long time, then got into operating one of the family's operating business units, separate business, and then ended up kind of getting into the freight brokerage side of the business and loved it and kind of got hooked into that side of the ops and then procurement and things like that in middle mile space with Amazon. And then Covenant I was chief transformation officer, did some tech M&A, acquisition stuff, strategic planning, and then ended up running and managing their brokerage unit for a while. And then after COVID hit, I founded TextLocate. So now I've been in the industry, all specific in our industry, for 25 years, and it goes by quick.
Oh yeah.
Some days and slow, some days, depending on what's going on. But it catches up on you really quick. So I think I'm finally starting to age into my gray hair that I've had early on.
Hey, you got a lot more than I do, though. That's why I wear a hat. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But it's been really good. So it's been great being in this market. And then the idea came around TextLocate. I actually founded the business with a couple of young guys on the development side. And we put this kind of plan in action. And I really started it fresh. I mean, we're bootstrapped, no financing, no funding, no VC money. Just started, hey, we're going to see if this thing works, see if the market, there's a fit. And I kind of was like, originally I was like, I'm going to give this 6 months and see if it takes off. I was like, look, if you guys can build a product that we can kind of have like a MVP product to take to market, then I'll work like crazy to get us off the ground. And luckily our first month we picked up 2 customers, and then the next month we picked up a few more, and just kind of it started coming together. And it definitely we found that we really, what we believed in to be a need in the market was there, and we've been growing ever since. And now we're in a lot of the top freight brokers in the country, and work with some of the premier brands out there, all the way from really large brokers all the way down to startups will start out using our product, whether it just be a couple of people. So it's been really cool to see.
That's awesome. So the most successful tech companies in freight, this is obviously my opinion, but from what I've seen in my 20 years in freight, have been from people who come from freight. It's not the VC companies that say, oh, there's money in freight, we're going to jump in here and we think that we can just do this better than everybody else. It's like, you eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff. You know that there's a need for it because you had a need for it when you were on the brokerage side, right?
Exactly.
So, love it. I love hearing those stories. So you guys are what, 4 years old now? Been around for about 4 years?
Yeah, 3.5, 3.5 plus a little. And just, I mean, again, it was exactly what you mentioned. Being in the industry, I saw a need and saw a problem that needed to be tackled, and kind of made our way into kind of the position we have in the industry now, and the product fit. But yeah, being in freight, it helps. You got to be open-minded to solutions and ideas. And so my co-founders do a great job on the tech side. I do a lot on the workflow and the process, and we get a lot of feedback from customers on wants and needs, and continue to develop based on that.
Nice. And you guys are open API. How do you guys integrate with TMSs?
We do. So we have, so day one, we started with a dashboard. You would just get on the website, hit textlocate.com, go to the website and start up and running. But we knew in order to scale, we had to have API. So we brought API out within just a month or so after launching the dashboard. Pretty basic API initially, with our goal is to have as much in the API as possible that aren't quote dashboard, features. So we've rolled that out, and all the new offerings we roll out, we all put it through the API. So yeah, it's a simple little, like, you log into your account, you have access to the API there, you get your keys, and you can connect it to your system as you see fit.
Love it. Love it. Are you guys working with any shippers or just brokers right now?
No, just brokers, 3PLs, asset-based carriers, really primarily focused there with those that want to communicate directly to at the driver level.
Okay. Are you guys open? Because I do have a lot of shippers that listen to my show. So
yeah, we're always open if there is something that makes sense there. If the definitely worth talking to. We just haven't necessarily found our fit yet, but I definitely think it depends on the shipper. If they do a lot of things themselves, they could really jump into our tool. But if they outsource a lot, it may be better to recommend, have the shipper recommend to their whoever they're working with to use our product as a direct and easy way to communicate with drivers.
Okay, awesome. I just know from a few conversations I've had with some of my customers, their frustration with some of the other products out there that they use. So, if you guys are listening, reach out to Ryan or reach out to myself. I'll get you guys connected with them, and at least explore the options. You never know. I know that. Yeah, there's not an out of the box that fits for every single person. So, it's always worth opening up your horizons to everything. So you guys compete in the same space as like a MacroPoint and FourKites, right?
Sort of. So we don't find we're not really direct competitors with a MacroPoint or a FourKites. We see ourselves as a complementary offering, because when I first identified the problem, what I saw was that those are really good tools. However, there's times where drivers either swipe them out, don't use them, have trouble with their usernames and passwords, or they just won't even sign up day one, and they want an easy solution. So we're a little more driver friendly, driver driven, with everything we do is all via text message. So there's no app to install, there's no passwords, it's just direct communication. So typically most of our customers are using a product like that. And then we actually kind of fill the gap between the locations that aren't tracking. We can do actually some overflow tracking via text, chatting, communicating with the driver, doing some standard, reminder messages and things like that, and also be able to capture images, things like PODs, stuff like that. We do a lot around the, checking the phone numbers too, to make sure, do they look legit? Are they voice over IP? Are they mobile devices? Which one is kind of what's showing up and seeing there. That way we can do some preventative things as well. So it's kind of, it works in tandem with some of those. Now we do have some companies, depending on the size and depending on their customer requirements for tracking, they may use us exclusively for tracking. Ours is a little different because it's not going to give you full tracking all the time, every 5 minutes. It's more of a, it's more like a digital, think of it like a voice digital check call that you send over a message and get a one-time location updates, and then you can schedule that. But the drivers like is it's less invasive. So the drivers that may have concern about fully like all the time tracking, they really like our product because it's they have to say yes and provide that location update.
That makes sense. Yeah, we definitely have we move a lot of produce. We move a lot of stuff out of California, Arizona, and there's definitely a lot of drivers that don't want you to tap into an ELD or don't want you to, I don't know why, but they're, they don't want you to have some sort of tracking, little breadcrumb tracking on them. And it is what it is, right? I'd probably feel kind of weird too if somebody tapped into my phone and wanted to, look at everything I was doing too, besides my wife, but she already does that. So
yeah.
So, Well, cool. No, that's great. I actually didn't know. So you guys got a little bit of fraud prevention in there as well mixed in, right?
Yeah, I mean, what we've seen is the locations will give you updates because we see a lot of people with those one-time locations. Hey, why is this not on the the path or the correct path of where we're headed? The phone number, like validating at a driver level, whether those are voice over IPs. We don't call it fraud; we call it suspicious activity because we don't know. It could be that a bad number was provided. It could be that an office number was provided, but it makes you dig in a little bit deeper to find out, and it's a nice prevention tool when you start asking those questions. Hey, I don't know, why I need the driver level information, and that it's actually the a lot of that sometimes is just like simply they didn't provide the driver phone number. So but you start questioning. It's kind of like putting up a layer of fencing. It's like, hey, this is the first fence and the hurdle, so it starts kind of blocking that a little bit because people will call and when you start questioning those things, they kind of disappear or go away. But we get a lot of feedback from our customers almost daily about how people are. Hey, I saw this suspicious number. I called. I dug in a little deeper. I didn't feel good about it. I took the truck off. Kind of saved a win or something like that.
No, that's great. And because there's no product out there that's 100% leak proof when it comes to fraud. So the more you put it, the more barriers you put up, the better you're going to be. I mean, we utilize CarrierSure plus Highway, and there's still times that somebody has hacked an account or got some information from somebody that they shouldn't have, and somehow they can squeak through some of that stuff. And it's every layer of protection is needed right now because the easiest way to lose a customer is to have your $200,000 load of food cross the border into Canada or Mexico and never come back. So,
yeah, it's exactly right. And I do think, those are really good products, and they're driven more at the carrier level, and we're more at the driver level. And like we have a partnership with Highway where you can kind of see both sides of the story and stuff. So it's really right now. What I've seen and being in this industry for a long time is, it's what everybody's saying. We hear it all the time. It's at record levels. They're going out of their way to try new tactics, anything and everything they can. So really, unfortunately, it can slow down the booking of that load. But right now, what we're seeing is it kind of needs to be done, unfortunately. And especially if you've got a high value load, you really better double check. We have a lot of people that use our system to send alerts if they're in, targeted commodity, if they're hauling a targeted commodity or they're in targeted areas, things like that, just giving a heads up to be careful. Most of those places, most drivers know that, but you just gotta, it's like anything. It's the same thing as like safety and fraud. You just got to continue your process and make sure that you're following those steps. When you miss one is usually when you leave yourself with some risk.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome. This is like, I've been in freight since I was 19. I just turned 40. So I'm on year 21 and I have never seen anything like I had the last couple of years. It's nuts.
It is.
And I don't understand. I've heard a million different theories of why it blossomed so much. We know that the rates during COVID had a lot to do with it. The capacity crunch had a lot to do with it. But at the end of the day, I think it was just people getting lax. We're such a weird industry because we're literally trusting $100,000 load with somebody that we don't even know who you are. We might not have even talked to you on the phone, right? Realistically, yeah. You might have just booked it off of a load board all through email. And all of a sudden you're trusting that this person's going to show up and do the job that you're asking them to do with $100,000 worth of product. It's great. It's nuts.
I think when the industry got more awareness around COVID, then maybe people started looking at it saying, hey, is there opportunity here that I can try to fraud areas?
And I'm assuming that it was prevalent before too. It just didn't come to light as much either, right? As soon as, people started taking notice and, there was definitely some larger companies that started, publishing a lot of stuff about it. All of a sudden, everybody's like, "Oh man, maybe I shouldn't use these 5 carriers from Glendale, California."
Right.
So it's crazy.
Oh yeah, it's been going on for a long time. It's accelerated, and I think you got a lot of bad actors in our industry, unfortunately.
100%.
But there's so many good people. It's like you're really doing such damage to great drivers, great companies that are all doing the right thing. So. it's disappointing.
We had a 20-year carrier. Guy had been in business for almost 20 years. Great carrier of ours. He had 20 trucks in his fleet, and his I don't remember what platform it was. RMI. I'm not calling anybody out, but it was like RMIS or My Carrier Package, something. Somebody had hacked his account, right? And they rerouted his banking information on there. So they put him out of business in 2 weeks. So a carrier,
I'm sure.
Yeah, a carrier who had been hauling loads for not just us, but they'd been in business for 20 years out of California. Great guy, great carrier. His dad started the business, out of business in 2 weeks because of fraud. And it was such a sad story.
Very.
So what's on the horizon for you guys? Are you guys rolling anything out new this year?
Yeah, we have a lot of things we're looking at. I mean, again, a large amount of our development really comes from customer feedback. That's we're small, nimble, and can put things together quick. So one thing that we really extensively grew over the last year is automation. So creating automation events and event triggers to help freight brokers. So that our core focus aligns very much with a brokerage with our tools. Like we talked about the fraud. We're focused on efficiency for like location check calls. We focus on cash flows around like image capture, POD, paperwork, and then even like margin generation with like text-based bidding to cover freight, all the way down to getting images and things around detention so that you can improve your margins there as well. So we listen to the customers and find out what their needs are, and it's usually all around those 4 core areas. And fraud is the one that has moved up to the top more recently, but it's around focused on those, and anything that we can make the day easier, the populating the data, getting more connected with other TMSs. We now have several integrations with TMSs. Those take a little bit of time, and to get those plugged in, we're just getting plugged in with more and more every day. So it's that has been a big lift, but trying to create as much automation as we can. And then we're also there's a lot going on in the AI voice side of the business, agents and things like that. So we're focused on seeing where those make sense and applicable with some pieces that we're trying out at the driver level. I think the conversation around the driver is a little bit different than a dispatcher calling in to cover, to book a load. But so we're looking at those and where that makes sense at the driver level. But the more we can focus on, where is the return on investment for people around those areas, and how do we just make, we're not trying to work the broker out of a job. We're just trying to make it easier, because we think that broker is still great at negotiating, great at covering freight. There's a lot of details, but that they do a really good job. But it's just like any of us, if you're super busy and you don't get to quote clean up your day till the end of the day, where we could make those messages go out automatic, ask questions, engage the driver throughout the day based on a rule set for you, makes us a substantial difference.
Yeah, that's automating anything that isn't a revenue producing task is the way to go. Like to your point, you'll never take the broker out. You'll never take the human element out of this, because people work with people they like, right? Like I came from the shipper side. I was on the shipper side for 12 years, and I didn't work with anybody that I didn't know personally. Like and you can't get to know an AI bot. Maybe not yet. I see movies that apparently can, in the future, but who knows? But you'll never take that human element out of it. But what you can do, especially from, an executive level like myself or you, is how do we turn our team from being busy into productive? That's what I always like to say. Like all of us can be busy, right? But I want our teams to focus on what is going to generate revenue, and everything else automate your scheduling, automate your track and trace, which obviously that's where you guys are heavily focused. And that is a huge, huge labor suck too. When you actually sit down and pencil it out, you spend so much labor on track and trace, and you can, and the best part about that is like yourself, you're coming out with tools where, I'm assuming you guys got alerts if something's off course, if something's going to be, late or anything like that, tracking late. Those things are the events that your team needs to know. Your team doesn't need to know every 2 hours that they just did, 100 miles. That's kind of irrelevant. All we need to know, and most shippers, most of your customers on our end as a broker, all they want to know is, did my shit get picked up on time? And is it going to arrive on time and in the right condition? That's it. Most of them don't need the breadcrumb trail. Some of them do. And they just want to know if you're going to be late. I want to know a day before it's late, not an hour before it's late.
Right.
And so automating all of that stuff in between is such a huge lift for brokers because, like I said, I want my labor dollars to be focused on revenue producing tasks, not track and trace. Unfortunately, now, I'm not knocking anybody for that. It's part of the game, but we're so automated now compared to where we were even 5 years ago. It's insane to me. I love it though. Love it. Being able to do more with less.
That's great. And that really is our focus too. What we're trying to do is make those digital location updates and those requests so that we can get through what I call, get through the maybe call it the good loads, the non-exceptions, like just give me like comfort. Hey, yes, this makes sense. This load's on track. Okay. Get through as many of those as we can fast, so that you can address the ones that have exceptions, which it may be just getting somebody on the phone to give you an update, or it may be, hey, these are running late. Let's spend time on the ones running late or late to pick up, late to delivery, or they had a truck that could have had a maintenance issue. They could have had the driver could have gotten sick, things like that, where you hate to call a customer and tell them that, but the sooner you know that is better for the customer, because then that way they can rearrange the appointments, things like that. And we can keep keep the industry running and keep the, flow of traffic in and out. But that is it's just how do you get to the ones that need problem resolution work done?
Yep.
It's faster.
Yep. Bad news gets worse with time. So the quicker you can deliver it, the easier it is. None of us like to do it, but that's just part of the job. So I love it. 100%. I mean, you guys, I've seen a lot of growth with you guys. I've seen you guys everywhere. Pretty much any trade show I go to that has logistics, I see you guys.
We're there.
Yeah. So I love it. I love seeing it. Morgan's a good kid. And yeah, I'm excited to see where you guys are going to go, in the future, because it is a need, because I don't know a single software. We've tried them all. Where I've had 100% tracking. You're lucky to get 60 or 70 on most of them, quite frankly. And that's at the driver level. Nothing wrong with the software.
Right. Yeah, no, it is. It's an approach. Like when I talk to my customers, I'm like, hey, customer's always right and always first, you say, but I'm always like, hey, you're extremely important to us, but kind of in that 51 to 49, you're on the 49 side, the driver's the 51, because we have to be able to make this easy for the drivers that they're willing to communicate back. And our approach has been really good. Plus, even with the tracking, we've gone beyond the blue dot. If you've been in transportation a long time, having a location update is only a portion of the story. You don't know what's going on with the driver. You can't capture images that way. You can't have follow-up conversations and things like that. And what we have found is the day of the phone calls is going away. They want to communicate via text, because then you're sending a pointed question, and they're able to voice text. They're able to look at it when it's appropriate, from a safety perspective, not just, a phone call is an immediate. I've got to answer that phone call right now. I don't know who's calling. And a lot of times they don't have the numbers saved for who's calling. So with text, having an introduction, a welcome, kind of telling who's calling and what you're asking about, goes a long ways to getting those response levels back. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are doing a lot of good things, because there's nothing more frustrating, especially even working after hours. After hours is, you're not going to get a driver at 1 o'clock in the morning to pick up the phone call or pick up your phone call when, to your point, they don't know who you are. It's just a random number calling them. But if they do get a text and they happen to be eating or at a truck stop or whatever it is, or just relaxing, in their layover, it's like, hey, I can at least answer this text. I know who's texted me. All they want is an update. I'm just going to let them know I'm at this truck stop, good to go. I'm in my labor, so don't bug me for another 8 hours, because you're going to get the same location update from me in 6 hours that I am right now. So
That's exactly right. And the cool thing with our data, we tie everything to the load ID. So it's not one of those where the driver, you may not have Ryan's name in your phone. So you'll be like, okay, what did we talk about? Well, having all that data in more of a normalized fashion, where it's all in there by load ID, then you can pull up the chat history. You can pull up all the trigger events, everything via load ID, and see that in your TMS or on our dashboard. So you can correlate that conversation around the primary identifier for all of us, and that's that load ID.
Awesome.
It's a unique unique approach that we take.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. We're coming up on time here. Is there anything else that you want talk about in the next couple minutes before we run out of time?
Well, I mean, it would be crazy not to, if I'm talking to the audience, not to kind of solicit on the business side. I mean, we would love to, if you're interested in hearing more about it, we'd love for you to kind of visit our website, textlocate.com, find out tons of information. We actually have a free account you can set up there. We have people signing up for them every day that you can test out how the product works. We also have a place you can kind of set a meeting to do a demo with one of our sales teams. So it'd be great to just consider us. And what I would say is, if you're interested, just reach out and hear what we have to say. I mean, it's a different approach. It's the biggest thing in our industry is trying to get people to change the way they do behaviors. And we've done a lot around that, how to make things easier. So just give us a chance to explore it and see if it makes sense. Because I think sometimes too many people, say, "Oh, I don't need that. I have an app," or "I don't." And we're well beyond the app in different ways. So just kind of challenge us with your questions and what you're thinking about, and see if there is a fit for us. And I mean, we are very passionate about our tool works for the biggest of the leaders in the industry, all the way down to startups. So, and we have pricing plans that match your size. So that was a big thing when I was building TextLocate, is I wanted to make sure that it was a product that would be open to all, and that would fit in the industry, and it really does. And there's just so many different ways to use it. And I would really think about, like, where's your data? How is it taken care of? Like, how's that information? Because a lot of times, a lot of that information is either stuck in emails or stuck in CRMs or stuck in your team members' personal phones. That stuff gets deleted. They leave. Like, how do you tie that back? And avoiding one suspicious activity is huge. Making sure that you're getting those PODs, those lumpers that you can actually get compensated for, the detention, having some proof around those areas, to me is a big benefit. And it's cool to see, like, the things that we're doing, even on, the suspicious side, helping with the industry. I mean, we want, our goal is to make this a really nice product for the logistics industry, and that it makes it easy for drivers, makes it easy for the users, and then helps prevent fraud and all the things that we talked about, from cash flow needs and stuff. Just make the jobs easier. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's the goal.
Freight's hard enough, man. You deal with weather, flat tires, people get sick. You're dealing with machines. Yep. So make your guys' lives easier. So check out TextLocate. What's the best way to reach out to you personally? Is it through LinkedIn or through email?
Yeah, LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find. Just Ryan Rogers at TextLocate's pretty easy. You feel free to email me anytime. It's just Ryan@textlocate.com. Hit our website. I mean, we're very easy to find.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you very much, buddy. Love what you guys are doing over there.
Thank you, Cody. Thanks for having me on.
Look forward to, I'm sure we'll have you guys on again as soon as you guys roll out some new products. I love to get, return guests to talk about what you guys are doing. So look forward to catching up with you again. And everybody out there, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you.